Joining us now, a man that needs no introduction, a Hall of Famer in the radio industry, someone that I happen to be lucky enough to work with for many years at ESPN, Mike Golic. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Maybe some people I need an introduction for. You and I worked together. I think you were, what, 10 at the time?
That's funny.
Because you look like you're 12 now. So, and I mean that as a compliment, Stats. I really do.
Yeah, it used to be an insult, and now the older I get, it's morphed into a compliment. So thanks for that.
You're probably still getting carded when you go into bars if you can get into them yet. So that's cool.
It is. And then person looks at the ID for 2 seconds and sees that I was born with a 19, and they just hand it right back.
Yeah, exactly. I say, okay, sorry.
So yeah, that's a sad day. I know you're here on behalf of One Touch Solutions. We're going to get to that, but you are going to be doing something very cool. You will be on the sidelines for the Super Bowl for Westwood One. And that's a big deal for you because, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't go to the Super Bowl normally.
Oh, I mean, all the years doing the morning show at ESPN, we would always go to the Super Bowl and do our show there all week or from Wednesday on. And I would usually leave by Saturday or at the latest Sunday morning. And I was always jealous of these guys. I'm like, I don't want to stay for the Super Bowl. I would watch it from my couch and be jealous. But now with Westwood One, I was calling games for them this year, and I'm working the sidelines. Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner in the booth, Laura Oakman and me on the sideline. So now, I'm actually going to the Super Bowl and I'm actually working it. So pretty wild. And in all honesty, I'm very excited about that. But I'm very excited I'll be standing on the sideline when that halftime entertainment comes out, which is, I think, going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I remember being at the Super Bowl in 2012 in New Orleans, and we were just on Radio Row, and Beyonce was the halftime act, and she walked in, and Radio Row stopped. And Mike, normally, like, people are not phased. It's like, oh, there's Joe Montana, whatever. But Beyonce walked in, and the world stopped. And talk about a star-studded halftime show. I mean, you've got Snoop and Dre and Eminem. Everybody's going to be there. And you're going to be right there with those people.
What's so cool is a number of those people have been on our show over the years. So Snoop was in studio with us a couple of times. I mean, it's a very, very cool thing. So and you're right. It's like the sports world. We're like, yeah, okay, there's a guy who play. There's a guy who play. But man, the entertainment world, music or acting, I mean, we're like, wow, how cool is that? And we all start, ogling over them.
So what are you going to be able to see on the sidelines that necessarily you're not going to be able to tell people about if you were in the booth?
Well, the thing I like to do whenever I'm in the booth, and that's mostly what I've done, I did one sideline game, that was the Rams and the Buccaneers a few weeks ago, to kind of get ready for the Super Bowl, is I always have binoculars, and I love looking on the sidelines at groups in the, when they're not on the field, just to see if I can read body language or something, because I obviously can't hear them from the booth. Now I can. Now with the access I have, I can go behind the O-line if they're struggling, D-line, linebackers, whatever. I can listen to their conversations, what their coach is talking to, and understand what they're saying. And I can relay that up to Kurt Warner in the booth and say, hey guys, this is what's happening here. Something good or something bad, whatever it may be. So it's getting back down right where the game is going on. And also there's going to be the ability, how good am I on getting on national TV for the Super Bowl? I mean, that's obviously I have to try and find the right spot.
Yeah, I think you'll find your way on a couple of times for sure. You talked about the O-line, so I want to get into that because a lot of people expect Cincinnati's offensive line to struggle in this one. I remember you telling a story about facing Anthony Munoz back in the day, Hall of Fame offensive lineman.
Yep.
So Cincinnati's offensive line knows that they could be in for a long day. Take me into the mindset of someone that is in a matchup that necessarily doesn't favor them. How do they kind of get up for that, knowing that they're kind of facing an uphill battle?
Well, earlier this week, I talked to Jonah Williams, the left tackle for the Bengals. And listen, it's not like it's a secret. We had a very open discussion about their struggles. I mean, they're rotating right guards in this game. That's going to continue. They lost, their right tackle early in the season. So, he said, listen, all we can do is go to the next play. And he's right. I mean, this is what my father would tell me. You try and win every battle. If you don't, you got to, 40 seconds later, you got to line up and do it again. So thinking about it isn't going to do you any good. You got to try and win the next battle. And your point about Anthony Munoz, I couldn't beat him, but I lined up every play if I was going against him, or a Dwight Stevenson, a Hall of Fame center, saying, okay, this play I will. You have to have that attitude, and that's their attitude. They know they've given up sacks. They know they struggle at times, but all they can do is prepare, because look they still won. They're still in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But, outside of Joe Burrow is the first quarterback to be sacked the most in the regular season and be a Super Bowl quarterback. So they'll go about their business and just try and execute. That's all you do as a player from play to play. Now, will they do it? Will they have to keep a tight end in? Is Drew Sample playing? Is CJ Uzomah playing? Well, let's see about his MCL. Are they going to have to keep them in and chip? Is Mixon or other backs going to have to stay in and help? That way we're going to find out, what happens, if they get out late to routes. But you have great receivers. I think that's why they've overcome it. Stats is you have T. Higgins and Boyd and Jamar Chase. So Burrow has weapons to get rid of the ball if he's facing pressure, which he's done great.
Talk about that right guard rotation a little bit. That seems odd to me that we are rotating offensive linemen. I thought offensive line is all about continuity and working together. Is that difficult if you've got a guy rotating in and out?
Oh, I don't think they like it, but, Hakeem Adeniji, he's struggled against the pass, right? And Jackson Carman has come in. He's a rookie and done a little better against the pass. So Adeniji has been pretty good against the run. So they have different strength. And plus, as the coaches talk about, and they're going to spin it positively, they get to spell them. So they get to rest a little bit. Usually it's the D line that rotates. It can keep fresh legs, and it's the same five. But so now you get two guys who have struggled a bit, be able to rest a little bit and come back in a little fresh. Do you want to do that? No, you absolutely don't want to do that. You want one guy playing the entire game. But when you're having issues, you got to find answers. And their answer right now is to rotate that position.
So if you obviously have the experience of a defensive lineman, what can Cincinnati do then to slow you down as a pass rusher?
Well, I mean, you know what it is. It's draws, it's screens. A lot of times the edge rushers will get fast up the field. So if you run a draw, or even the quarterback stepping up, and the toughest thing for a D line is when that end gets high up the field. And unless you're getting a push in the middle, there's that natural space that gets created when the end goes up the field. It gives the draw an out, or it gives the quarterback an up and out to get out of the pocket. So, do that, make yourself a threat early there, screens. Now, I mean, Leonard Floyd, even Aaron Donald, Von Miller, they can run down screens. I mean, they're pretty impressive at that. And they have a really good interior guy in Greg Gaines, who's kind of getting more notoriety, but he's kind of that plug in there while the other guys get the notoriety. He's just making plays in the middle. But that's a way to do it. If your running game can work, man, if they can get that running game going, and neither team ranks really high in their running game. It's not like they have great running games, but if you can have an effect with your running game, and then your play action is going to work great. Now you're freezing that D line just for a second because they have to concern themselves on the run. So obviously the best thing is your whole game plan works. Throw outside, throw inside, run outside, trying. It's a game of who can dictate to who. Is the offense dictating to the defense, or is the defense dictating to the offense? You can't tell on the first series for either team. Those are scripted plays. A lot of times you see success out of the offense, and then adjustments are made and the game kind of settles in.
I think Cincinnati's in an interesting spot because I think they're going to go up tempo a little bit in an attempt to try and tire out that Rams D line. But, most of the time with the Rams, it's like Jalen Ramsey is going to lock down your number one receiver. Well, Cincinnati's like, that's great. We have three guys that we feel comfortable throwing to. So I know that the D line is scary, but I actually think Cincinnati can have some success moving the ball if Burrow gets any time, just because I don't know how the Rams are going to cover all those guys.
Well, I mean, that's why they're in the Super Bowl, is because, as I said earlier, they have different weapons. So even if the pocket breaks down quickly, you got Jamar. Jamar does great on slants and yards after the catch. So Higgins, great hands. He was the guy in the championship game. That's who they had to go to, because Jamar, they're double covering him, outside with a corner and deep with a safety. And we'll see how that goes unless Jalen just locks on him. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch all day. But you're right. And then if they can get a tight end involved that Uzomah can play, I think he's been so underrated, just like Tyler Higbee for the Rams, who hurt his knee in the championship game as well. Those guys are great. I don't even call them safety valves. They they do a nice job. If they do that, if it's 3rd and 4, they get you 4.5, which just aggravates the hell out of the defense. It's like, we could have been off the field. They made it by a half yard, and now we're staying on the field. So I think that is one of the big keys is they're in the Super Bowl is Joe has a lot of weapons to go to dump the ball off if he gets pressure.
I want to get to the Rams side of it as well, but I know you're here with One Touch Solutions and the Talking Type U campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with diabetes, in my early 40s when we were together at ESPN, and I had to kind of learn a new way to kind of live my life, but I do everything kind of football wise. So it's like I had to find a playbook now for this. Like my doctor's my coach, my wife and kids are my teammates. And so that's how I went about it. One thing I learned of the 34 million people dealing with type 2 diabetes is everybody has to deal with it differently, different plan from meal plan to workout plan. And while it's a big group, it's really individual how you deal. So you'd be proud of me, Stats. I got into the now generation, the technology generation of One Touch Solutions. It's kind of a digital one-stop shop where I can get my programs customized to me, whether it's Noom, Fitbit, Cecilia Health, WellDoc. They all get my information, and I get great, food and health and wellness, like foods to eat, my fitness, am I working out enough? Am I drinking enough? I can chat with a live diabetes expert about questions that I have. So I'm in the modern technology with One Touch Solutions. I talked to a couple of former players, Kyle Love from the NFL, John Kruk from Major League Baseball, who both dealt with this, to just show everybody's on a different path. So I would encourage everybody to go to talkingtypeu.com. You can hear those interviews, get a lot of other great information out there, and enter a sweepstakes to win some health-related prizes like home gym equipment. So a lot of good info, and it's a win-win. You can win.
Welcome to 2022.
Yes.
So it's about time. We're Zooming now, so I am very proud of you.
I'm jumping in with both feet, Stats.
From the Rams side of things, the talk about Matthew Stafford, some people thought, well, if he could just get out of Detroit, he'd be fine. And other people say that he was part of the problem there. Does he have to win this game to change that narrative about him? Or do you think he's already done it?
Well, I think he has to win and the Rams have to win, right? I mean, because the Rams, this team, we've seen it before occasionally, a team pushing all their chips to the middle, right? Starting from a couple of years ago, acquiring Ramsey, from Jacksonville. And then obviously, Stafford and Von Miller and OBJ, they're basically saying, okay, we don't have a first round pick until 2070. Okay. So what, and so if you win the Super Bowl, then it paid off, right? Then everything you did paid off. And then you have to manage next year and next year, where Cincinnati has kind of done it the tried and true way of obviously getting some free agents, but look at the draft, the youngest foursome of under 26 years old, quarterback 4,000, running back 1,000, two receivers 1,000, all under 26, all through the draft. So, they're building that way where they're going to continue to rise. Rams have to kind of readjust each year. So, and this was a Stafford year of saying, okay, I can lead a team to the Super Bowl, 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions regular season, but you weren't sure which Stafford you were going to get. Was it going to be the 41 touchdown, or was it going to throw a pick six or overthrow? We saw Tart, from the 49ers drop that interception. I mean, which may have not have been the game, but it certainly could have been a small nail in the coffin, possibly. It's unfortunately something he'll never forget. So that's the question again going into this game is which Stafford are you getting? I was at the Bucs game. He played great in that game. So yeah, this is a statement for him and the Rams.
Last question for me. What's your prediction for the game?
Well, see, here's the thing, Stats. I went for 23 years with ESPN, not working the Super Bowl, and I could make a prediction. Now I'm working it. So I can't make an actual prediction. I can't pick one team and then be on the sidelines of the other team and, be professional about that. So what I'm doing is I'm picking the coin toss because you can bet on everything. So I say bet tails. And then let's hope for a good game. What I'll say, though, the biggest mismatch on the field on paper is going to be that D line of the Rams and the offensive line of Cincinnati. So that, to me, I want to see how they get through that.
Well, Mike, we thank you very much for the time. Again, you can go to talkingtypeu.com for more information there. Enjoy the game. I'm glad you're finally going to go to a Super Bowl, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Sounds good, Stats. You're going to see me on air somewhere. I'm going to get in the camera frame.